What if we told you we have an exclusive story, a potential leak, if you will, where we now believe we likely know what Disney and Lucasfilm are up to with Skeleton Crew? Yes, it's getting fairly good reviews. No, it doesn't have good ratings. But Star Wars fans may be berating Disney very soon because it turns out this kids show may be Favreau and Filoni's effort to justify the sequel trilogy. Hello and welcome to another pro video of absolute excellence, putting out gold 4 times a day right here on YouTube, and we're happy that you've come our way. Today, this video is brought to you by Lorne Connor, our resident Star Wars guru. There's nobody who knows Lucasfilm and Star Wars as well as this man. And he thinks he has figured out the plan that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have hatched together under Kathleen Kennedy to try to make better and justify the sequel trilogy's existence. It is the first time that we've seen a Disney Plus live action show attempt to, I guess, make even more concrete the canon of the sequel trilogy that so many hate. We'll bring to you this theory. Don't go anywhere. Click the like button. And here we go. Lorne, let's spill some beans, man. Holy free holies, let's do it.
All right. So I don't know if I'm right about this or not, but in the first episode of Skeleton Crew, there's a scene where one of the kids is going to sleep at night and he's looking up in the sky and he's seeing the barrier. And you can see in the barrier, there are 3 black holes in close proximity. Well, that's a known location in the Star Wars galaxy, if they are going with it, which it actually has been referenced in Solo. If I'm correct, that's the Maw. The Maw is an artificially created black hole cluster that is extremely difficult to navigate through. But the Empire found a way through, and they hid an Imperial research station there. And if I'm right, that's what the barrier is. It's the Maw. And the only way that you get to the other side of it is through that one hyperspace route that was guarded by a Star Destroyer in Solo. If I'm right, then the great work that they're talking about is not for the Republic. And there's a reason why they don't want to communicate with the Republic. And there's a reason why the citizens of this planet don't know about what happened in the war. All of these actuaries and scientists and people that are working on these very technical things, if I'm right, are working to help design Starkiller Base. And that's the twist, is that would be tying it into the sequel trilogy, and there we are back there again. They are citizens who think they're doing something for the Republic, but they're actually working for the First Order.
Okay, so here's where I see some very serious credibility to that. So Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have never given us any indication that they plan to retcon the sequel trilogy. I think that what Lucasfilm wants Phony Baloney Filoni to do is they want him to do for Disney what he did for George with the prequels. Filoni came in for the prequels and he gave a compelling backstory that filled in the gaps and made the prequels stronger, knowing the full story than they were as standalone films. And so Disney wants him to do that again with the woefully flawed sequels, which I think are so flawed that you just have to get rid of them. I don't think that Star Wars can continue and be, have any kind of fan base until you get rid of the sequel trilogy. I don't say that from a hard line, I got to have this be my canon. I want this to be my character. I say that from a business standpoint. Like, I think financially, this franchise goes nowhere so long as the sequels exist. They're that bad. Lorne, I think, though, Disney is determined, and Favreau and Filoni, I don't think that, they're not going to rock the boat. And I don't sense that they're there to fix the sequel trilogy. I don't sense they're there to retcon the sequel trilogy. And if you're right, Skeleton Crew, despite the high quality, is designed as a way to justify and to augment the sequel trilogy even more. And that will, I think, cause this show that has no viewers to be a very sour piece, a very sour grape in a cluster of Star Wars cluster ups. And I have to say, Lauren, that if that's what they do, I mean, I'll have to reject this show as well because I don't want any part of the sequel trilogy.
Well, this is kind of why I threw out the theory last week, and I wasn't real solid on it, but I can't help but notice that they made a point this week of asking, what do all of our parents actually do? You know?
The great
And,
work.
and when you think about it, it also explains all of the pirates in the vicinity because the maw going through that nebula is how you make the Kessel run. Kessel is the big planet full of spice. I saw somebody asking that in the chat there, and yes, Kessel is where Glitterstim spice comes from. But there's other routes through the maw, and one of those routes in Solo, you see a Star Destroyer guarding it. That route, if you can find it, would go to the Imperial Research Station, where in the old EU, a Death Star prototype was created. And it was actually where Governor Tarkin's lover, Admiral Dala, was stationed. So I don't think they're probably going to adapt any of that stuff. But if I'm right, they're taking some of the ideas and they're just sort of molding it into what their version of Star Wars is, and that would tie into Starkiller Base.
Well, and
of course, in this version, they're going to make Admiral Dala into a dude, I'm sure.
Starkiller Base is also just such a dud. It's just such a dumb thing. It could have been cool. It wasn't. And, this is just more trying to make a square wheel function on a vehicle that just needs some freaking tires. And I'm tired of watching them try to make this thing with square wheels move. It's not going to do it. And I guess it's, one of the sad things about it is this has such potential. We've watched 3 episodes. We're giving it positive reviews. But if it's there to justify something that's terrible, then, what are we going to do at the end other than say, well, you used it as a vehicle to justify absolute junk. And nobody wants to do that. It's a bunch of bunk. Kevin, Marvin, any thoughts on whether or not Lorne might be right with this? We're going to call it the Lorne theory.
Yeah, I agree, actually, with Lorne. When I watched the first episode and I'm listening to the parents discuss their jobs, it kind of struck me as some weird de facto post-cultural revolution caste system, and that's never a good thing. We I can't remember the main kid's name, but like the kid's desire to go out and adventure and help people versus become a mindless bureaucrat. I'm like, okay, we set the ground rules pretty hard here. So it's clear that I think the parents are unknowingly up to no good, and there's going to be a twist here later when we decide to go back home. But I didn't catch the 3 black holes. But now that you said it, I'm like, oh, okay.
It's important to notice also that they have all these security droids around everywhere who are also not just keeping track of the children, but keeping track of the parents as well. And it's kind of weird that there's all of these kids. Now, granted, it's a kid-centric show, but relatively few adults that we have seen so far. And a society that decides that kids that are around 9 years old are going to be taking a test to determine their life path, that sounds an awful lot more like a top-down kind of system like the Empire than a bottom-up system like the Republic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the second I heard this theory from Lorne, I had heard it privately in a private message, and I said, I think that's brilliant. Like, I mean, I don't think that it's brilliant like on the part of Lucasfilm. I think it's brilliant on the part of Lorne to put that together because it makes sense. It's got something to do with something insidious. The fact that now the droid is like, they passed the barrier, we can't go after them. That's not a thing that you do just because you're hoarding treasure. This is something that has to be hidden. I think you might. Yeah, I think you're going to have. I think someone will be there from the sequel trilogy, which again I think is a mistake because again, all roads lead to Jake Skywalker, and that is where Star Wars goes to die.
You know what's funny to me is that actually, if they could somehow have a little destruction at Atten, that would work really well from a cinematic level. Maybe if they had some AT-ATs in at Atten, actually trouncing through space Montana. I think that would actually be really good imagery from a cinematic standpoint.
Well, if they do destroy it, I recommend that anybody who wants to survive, they jump in a fridge. Well, folks, we've come to the end of another video of pure excellence and fun. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. That's what we hope you believe we've just done. And why should you believe it? Well, because we've done our very best to make it so. To be true, to be factual, and to do what the mainstream, so-called access journalists simply won't. Folks, you can help share this out across the fruited plains of YouTube by clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, as we get ready to say sayonara for now, we ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep having fun.